Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we will be learning to draw Marvel's Thing. It is that very popular rock-faced character that we all know from the Fantastic Four. To begin, please have your pencil ready and we can roll. So we begin off with this oval, like so. Would recommend putting in another arc like that. Now we are drawing his profile, not the entire character. That is what we can do in a quick few minutes. So it's very simple so far. Arc and that circle or oval. And I would actually put a little box around this, becoming short at the top, because that is what Thing's head essentially is. I would give a little arc there, and again all of these have been very light strokes so far. I would even extend that far and then put in another oval right here. And then a line right there, another arc that much apart, another arc just that far down. So if you have all those lines put down, we can start drawing Thing's head. Now one feature that he has is that brow, and we put this down here for that very purpose. So a nice rocky brow right there, a nice rocky brow right there, and then he has these very rocky but comparatively smaller cheekbones. Okay, so once you have those, we're going to put in two small eyes right there. Actually filled that one in a little too much, but do that. And then his very tiny and rocky nose right there. Then we just go down try to go along those lines. And there is his head rounded off, and then of course he has that bulky round body. That will be his shoulder, that is the chest in the foreground. And then for the mouth, I would just put in a slit like that to begin. Now what we are essentially doing following this is, you could also join the brow. That's another style. You can make the brow higher or lower, but again that'll depend on what kind of Google image you're referring to draw this. Now from here on is the challenging and the fun part. Also, I will point out that some artists have Thing's head rounder and smaller, so it really depends on what your mileage is. So let us actually get rid of that, because I think I like this one a little better. It's more cartoonish, it's more comic-like. And then his important feature is the rocks. To quickly do them, you have to imagine a soccer football, and that will be more effective as we go along. But you also have to note that to take care of dimension, you have to have a certain flow. So perhaps going like that along his round and rocky body, and then where his shoulders hit, maybe change direction like that. And the same thing goes for the head. You have to project some lines just along every part. And then along these lines you could start constructing rocks. You can imagine a pavement, and you have to imagine that all of these rocks are essentially connected. And then to make it effective, the rocks that are on the surface, you can actually give them a little dimension like so. So kind of like a scaly feel to it, but the more straight aspect, they could also go like so. You could also add some lines in there like that. And then around here I would first go with smaller rocks, and then eventually you do not need too many around the mouth, kind of like that. Please use very light strokes throughout, because that is a very, very important thing going into this. And then as you see that we are beginning to, let us finish the rocks over here first. Let's change the focus there. And then of course, when you shade the different parts in, you will be able to give it more dimension going in. And actually with a character like the Thing, you might consider using some shading. As you see that it already makes a difference. If you have a unibrow, then you do not need to go in there. Otherwise, have some shading wherever you need to make some kind of accentuation or a separation of the anatomy. But make sure that you follow the light and shadow concept when you're putting the shading down. And then we begin forming larger rocks as we are going on. Again, they can be of random shapes, And I would recommend that wherever there's a curvature, for instance, there's a curvature around the chest area. Some artists depict the chest as like one solid block, but my take is a little different. We need to put in a little more hard work going in there. Let me just first separate that with some shading right there. And then, as I was mentioning, whenever there's a curvature, you could try to form a different set of rocks. For instance, there could be like rounding off here. And again, try to like keep the lines as straight as possible. And try to also, I'm not agreeable with what I've done here. I'm going to rub some of that off like so. And the reason is that the thing is essentially a rocky and not necessarily a scaly character. Scales can be like much more, and rocks do not have to be in that same number or volume. And try to add the, I haven't like done that here, but these soccer shaped ones more, because it gives the character a rocky feel almost instantly. So we've done this in a few minutes, and of course if we put some time into it, it will have more details. Look at the shape of the rock and try to put in some shades wherever you see the rocks wedging into each other, or where you have to signify a body part. Namely, right here we have his voluminous chest, and we are depicting the light somewhat coming in from that side, so just throwing in some shading right there. Again, we are doing this with less finesse than we normally would, but the whole idea is to share the thought and how to easily get around to it. And then of course you can keep working on improving the details as you try different versions of this character. And right there we'll just quickly put in some pencils right there, dark shades again, where his chest is seemingly running into that shoulder, and there is that dark shadow coming in from the chest. And the whole point is that you cannot just like keep smudging the shadows right over each other. In fact, once you're done, you should construct the lines a little more solidly and fill them out randomly or leave them white. And that is the whole point of the exercise, that each rock here is an object, and you have to, for instance, right here at the bottom of the chin, if you choose to shade the lip, we exaggerated because it's one straight surface, straight cut. But other than that, along the brow here, you will need to come in and shade. So to quickly round it off, and we will try to quickly round it off, because thing is that character, and even when you're trying to make him two-dimensional, he ends up being just that, and that is always a little more challenging when it comes to getting the shading down. And so here we are. Here I would recommend that you should have like white lines in between when you are finally done, just so that the details stand out and he's a little more two-dimensional. So there is the basic idea behind putting that character down. And when we illustrate this with an outline, with a marker, we can see that all the other pencil highlights stand out, just to show you where all the details went in, all the shading. So that is the idea of drawing the thing and putting in the shades in each rock, and then highlighting the smaller areas with just so much shade to make it more detailed. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe, keep in touch. We will be posting more videos. Till then, have yourself a wonderful day.